Today we're going to talk about, one of the most popular fragrances in FragCom in the world. It seems like everybody and their mom, when they think about, spending the extra dollar on fragrance, you know what I'm saying? They're all familiar with this. And no, it's not Dior Sauvage. So strap up. Let's go for a ride. All right, welcome to the Scent Bubble. I am your host for the evening, I guess. Let's just cut to the chase, man. Versace Eros EDT, Eau de Toilette. I knew the time would come when we would need to talk about this fragrance, and we've covered it in hot takes, sure, but I knew I would have to give it, proper respect and due diligence at some point in time. And that time is now. It's been a while since we've done some story time. And this isn't really a story, but just to kind of give some background with my relationship to this fragrance. I'm not the biggest fan of sweet. So when I got in the game, when I went through the Jean Paul Gaultier line and stuff like that, I wasn't a big fan. Now, I think a lot of that's due to timing. Had I smelled JPG fragrances when I was in high school, I probably would have been hooked, maybe even college. But I didn't come into contact with Versace Eros till I was in my late 20s, I believe. There's a lot to be said about a fragrance like this. Mass appealing, insanely popular. This is similar to like Axe body spray or Spice Bomb. I know that was a crazy contrast, but just name brand household names. People are so familiar with Versace. It's almost like at this point, people blind buy anytime Versace comes out with anything new. And if somebody has one Versace fragrance, it's likely they have more than one. Versace Eros EDT, I don't want to give a history about it because since I'm not a fan, I don't know a ton of details about it other than that it's just mass appealing, extremely popular, sweet, fresh, aromatic green fragrance that everybody absolutely loves. I liken it to a Jean Paul Gaultier fragrance just because it kind of has, it is fresh, but it's got that kind of sweet, slightly seductive, fresh aromatic take that the JPG fragrances kind of go after. But this one is softer and I think can go romantic, but really is a multi any season, any reason type of fragrance, has a lot more versatility. Whereas I think certain JPG fragrances are extremely circumstantial, if not date night exclusive. So anyways, let's just do an initial thoughts. I don't want to blab too much on it. I'm going to spray it one more time. The atomizer on this bottle is excellent. And there's a lot to be said, but I'm kind of just reserving it. I don't want to, kill everything right off the bat on the episode. I'll go into another rant. Don't get me wrong. So this is definitely a fragrance that has to settle. And I do think that some people would recommend Versace Eros Parfum in the end, just due to dimension. I'm not sure if it's as much performance as it just is character, or they think it smells a little bit better. But I think EDT is the loudest, most projective, definitely most known, I think. And what do you get? You get this slightly soft vanillic sweetness, this fresh aromatic to it. I said green earlier, but it's a very soft green. It's a very powdery, soft green. I don't want to say powdery like, Oud Satin Mood powder. It's not that dense, but it's definitely above average density in terms of just what you get in the air. It's highly aromatic and fresh, but there's a thickness to it. And it's seductive, it's smooth, it's a perfect blend. Yeah, this just seems like the fragrance that isn't so sweet that you can't wear it in others more casually and all that stuff. I think this is like perfectly balanced in terms of sweet and fresh. And this is one of those fragrances Well, we'll save that for the end. Let's go to the window here. So up top, we have mint, green apple, and lemon. I don't get too much lemon, but the lemon is providing some freshness. I do get it kind of on the back end, but less than 5 or 10%. Green apple is certainly tinging the vanilla for sure. There is a fresh aromaticness to it up top that I think mint contributes to. I don't know if there's exactly a cooling sensation as much as there is just a freshness. That's such a poor word choice, but we're going to rock with it. Middle notes, we have tonka bean, ambroxan, and geranium. I get the tonka bean for sure. Vanilla, cedar, atlas cedar, vetiver, oak moss in the base. That vetiver to give it some sophistication, that oak moss to add an earthy component to the freshness, and woods because, quite frankly, what fragrance doesn't have woods in the base? And then that Madagascar vanilla. One thing I will say is that's quite surprising me about this fragrance is it's surprising that for a fragrance is heavy on green apple, tonka bean, ambroxan, and vanilla, it still isn't insanely sweet. Like, I think even comparatively to the JPG fragrances, this might be one notch dialed back from that. It still is very much a vanillic tonka bean sweetness, but there's a softness to it. I think they did a really good job of balancing lemon, floral via geranium and mint. So lemon, floral, wood, oak moss, vetiver. I think there's enough of that sitting in there. You know, this might be like a straight 50-50 blend where it's like ambroxan, tonka bean, vanilla 50. The other 50 is literally mint, lemon, apple, geranium, cedar, vetiver, oak moss. You know, so the blend of this is just absolutely butter. Okay. How do I feel about this fragrance? I think I would give Versace Eros a 9 out of 10. Now, I'm not concluding my episode right now, but I just want to say that right off the bat because you have to put respect on Versace Eros's name. By the way, the fragrance smells exactly how the bottle looks. You know, when I look at the bottle, I see this kind of vanillic manila writing. It's almost gold even. That to me is like the vanillic touch. And then there's this kind of slightly blue, slightly aromatic, green, fresh. I don't know. It just smells exactly like the bottle to me, the mint. But I give it a 9 out of 10. I think it can't be a 10 out of 10 because there isn't a ton of signature. That's the one component that I think isn't there. You do have signature comparatively in terms of being above average, but in terms of like wow factor, I don't think it has an insane amount of wow factor. I think it just stops at charm road, you know, for lack of better words. But it does check every other box. It checks off performance, 8 hours plus. It checks out bottle and atomizer are phenomenal, low pressure sprayer. The DNA is super versatile. You can make it romantic due to the sweetness. You can make it fresh due to the aromatics and balance of wood, oak moss, mint, freshness up top. It's projective. It's not extremely loud, but it's definitely loud. You'll have a scent bubble around you pretty much everywhere you go. It's alluring. Here's the kicker. It blends well with a lot of things because it's so smooth. I was reaching really hard the other day and I blended Bentley Absolute, that dark dry wood and incense with this vanillic sweet, fresh fragrance. And I got two compliments immediately when I walked into the grocery store. So again, it can blend well with a lot of things because it's, I don't want to say it's too safe, but it's not so, it's such a smooth blend that something can complement it. So it's not only good on its own with a lot of utility, utility, I almost said versatility, but same thing. But it can be layered if you so choose to. Like if you feel it's too sweet, you could dial it back. If you want to add another dimension to the sweetness, you can absolutely do that as well. But yeah, it checks every box except for superstar power. Now, if you're in high school or college, I think this has an insane amount of signature. But as you age, as you go up in age, you begin to look less unique with this, but you still smell good. This I made a reel or a YouTube short about this the other day, basically saying this fragrance will never do you wrong. It'll work any season, any reason, any age. It's soft, but it still makes its presence known. It's an easy smell on the nose, I think. It's just tried and true. There's so many. I mean, if you go on YouTube and you type Versace Eros versus, and then just name any other fragrance, or just type Versace Eros versus VS period, you're going to see so many videos of people walking around doing fragrance battles of stuff, both clones and popular fragrances, where they have different people smell them and tell them blindly which one they think is better. And Versace Eros 9 times out of 10 always takes the cake. So, I mean, I'm not just saying this because it's my opinion. It's widely known that this is one of the most highly purchased fragrances of all time. And it's the most well received. I think it's good for any occasion. It's something where I think about anything north of about 5 sprays and you're going to be good. If you're a conservative sprayer, I heard somebody call themselves a sissy sprayer earlier today when I was on YouTube. If you're a sissy sprayer, hopefully that's not offensive. This would be just fine with you. You know, 4 or 5 sprays is going to get the job done for the whole day. It sits on clothes well, but I think this is also a fragrance where you can creep up in the 8 to 10 category. And as long as you go outside for a second and let yourself properly dry down, you're going to just be more projective, but it's still soft on the nose. Yeah, where do I personally see this as far as occasion? I mean, I would wear it as a fresh, smooth, you know, sometimes when it comes to date nights and stuff like that, you're asking someone out, first dates, maybe you're with your wife or whatever. Sometimes you're not trying to make massive statements. You're just trying to be present, clean, and I don't want to say low key, but just not loud, right? There's something to be said about the man who is so confident that he doesn't need to be the loudest person in the room. His presence is felt. He speaks when he needs to speak. This is that type of fragrance. It makes itself known, but it doesn't try to be the best thing in the room. And I think for that, it can fit a type of personality really well on a man. Price of a fragrance like this, let me pull it up here. Let's see what Joma Shop's running it for. Eros EDT. I'm sorry, guys. Normally there's no dead time on my channel. So yeah, so it looks like it's pretty affordable too. You can get a 100 ml bottle of Versace Eros on Joma Shop for $50 right now. 45 for a 100 ml tester. 200 ml for $70. So if you're a big fan of Versace Eros, you can get 200 ml right now for $70. That's insane. And I do think that this is kind of a staple fragrance for most people's collection. Even if you're not a big fan of sweet fragrances, this has a very nice balance. And also checking out the Parfum version, or sorry, the EDP. The EDP is 60 for 100 ml as well. Now, here's a good question. What should you get? Versace Eros EDP, EDT, or do they have the Parfum version? Let's type this in. Eros Parfum. Okay. I'm pretty sure, yeah, Versace Eros Parfum. So they do have 3 different versions. I personally think EDT is the most classic, and don't think just because going with EDT, it's going to be less performance. I really do think that with those 3, it just comes down to the DNA subtlety, right? I've heard equally that people love, I think seasoned people with Versace Eros would automatically go with EDP just because it's kind of like the 3 Little Pigs. That one's just right in terms of having a little more dimension and still maintaining performance. Parfum's going to be more on the uniqueness and density of fragrance in terms of DNA, whereas EDP is going to be projective and loud, but might be a little less on the performance comparatively. But I've been spending a lot of time with EDT. The performance is nice. You will not lack performance. So it's kind of one of those things where if you really want to be picky, then I would go in and just smell them all, because they all seem to be fairly in the same price pool, with EDT being the absolute cheapest. But if it was me and I was trying to save some money, I would go with the 100 ml for 50. And if I really wanted to have a super reliable utility fragrance, I'd buy the 200 ml EDT for the $70, because that's an absolute banger steal. There's a $20 coupon going for it right now, and I think it's the least popular just because it's behind all of them. It came out first. So I don't think this is one of those things where you really have to be a stickler about EDT, EDP, or Parfum. You will be happy with any of them. And because of that, and there isn't a super lacking in performance, I would go with the EDT and save myself some money, because I'm going to get the better deal on the EDT. If anyone else completely disagrees with me, sound off in the chat to help the community out. But I want to speak more so to what I have a ton of wearing experience with. And with the EDT, I had insanely good performance out of this. And I think it's also one of the more projective out of the three as well. I have smelled all three, but I've worn the most out of EDT. So if anyone is second guessing EDT, perhaps for a potential performance loss, you don't have to worry about that at all. Again, Versace Eros, no matter what form, will never do you wrong, guys. Absolutely not. I have yet to see a Versace Eros clone, but I think due to the price point, you really shouldn't. You know, this is dang near a Ross or a TJ Maxx grab, because for $50, being able to get 100 ml, and with all the coupons and everything out there, I mean, it's just a no-brainer. Here's another question. Should you get a smaller bottle? You know, like for instance, right here, I believe I have a 50 ml. Let's see. For me, again, sweet fragrances aren't my biggest bag. And in a place like Arizona, it's extremely hot. So I'm not grabbing a ton of sweet bomb fragrances until actually this time of the year, end of the year. But for the most part, it's hot out and everything like that. So I mess with different DNAs. For me, the 50 ml is plenty. You know what I'm saying? It'll give me a couple years of use. But if you're somebody, I mean, I think even in warm weather, this hits. So if you love Versace Eros, I think for the price, it makes no sense not to just go up to the 100 ml. If you're an absolute lover of Versace, the price point on 200 ml is insane. But if you're not the biggest fan of JPG type fragrances or sweet fragrances, but you do like this a little bit, I don't know, guys. I think, let's see what the EDT is going for half the bottle. It's going for $35. So, I mean, if you're one of these people where you smelt it before, or you're not sure, but you don't think you'd like it that much, I mean, $35 is an easy commitment on a 50 ml and you'll be just fine. But just to pay, I mean, there's even there's testers going on Joma Shop right now for 100 ml, $45. So I'd pay the extra 10 and get the 100. You know, I was gifted this EDT, so that's why I have this size. But I'm trying to just walk you through the psychology of what would be the better deal. But you're getting a deal with any size anyway, particularly with the EDT. Once you go to EDP and Parfum, they're a little bit more sticklers in their price points. But another thing I'll say is Versace Eros is such a popular fragrance that people who start collecting fragrances but picked up Versace Eros first kind of graduate out of it in some cases, and you do see a lot of people selling it on Facebook groups and TikTok shop and everything like that. And it's not because it's a bad fragrance. It's just, if you started with that fragrance, you probably used it all the dang time and you're just a little bit sick of it. And as you grow your collection, you find it just kind of sitting on the shelf. But I mean, nonetheless, I've put a lot of use case to this. I've been wearing it off and on all for the last 2-3 months, and it's a banger. And I think EDT has the best prices and will continue to have the best discounted prices out there. Joma Shop showing me a $10, $20, and $30 coupon. So anyways, guys, let me know in the comments if you have this. Like, comment, and subscribe. More importantly, turn on that notification bell so you can catch all of my episodes dropping dang near every single day. I'm dropping grenades, guys. We're going through everything, and I appreciate you guys so much for rocking with me. Y'all have a blessed week, and until next time, this was Versace Eros Eau de Toilette 50 ml banger.